session too, just so we'll have it like a record of it. And then I'm going to also try to send out meeting minutes and put them up on Loop and stuff. So we got about 15 folks here in the mix, which is great. Thanks for being a part of this initial gathering post the Transformation Summit and the Transformations at a Glance that we did in March and April. I guess we could start with introductions since it's 15 people. Yeah, I don't know if it'll be totally chaotic or not, or how you want to go about it, but like I'll introduce myself first and then we'll see how it goes. And if it gets too chaotic, we can just go through chat box and I can actually go through the attendee list, although some of them I don't have names. So, but let's see how it goes with introducing ourselves this way. Hopefully you know who I am. I'm Keith Banner from DODD. I'm the Southwest Ohio Employment and Community Life Engagement Project Manager, which means I kind of help providers and county boards and individuals, families, schools, other partners in the process of kind of figuring out how to move supports from facility to community base and looking at employment as one of the key ways to do that, but also community life engagement as well. That's me. That's why I brought us together to talk about that stuff. So if you want to try the introductions via voice, I know Melissa Morelli's on, so do you want to introduce yourself, Melissa?
Yes. Hi, everybody. It's Melissa Morelli, as he said, and I'm with Active Day.
Thank you. I know Lynn and Leanne are on from Butler County. Lynn and Leanne, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourselves? If not, I'll go ahead and go to the next. Are you guys on?
I'm trying. Can you hear me, Keith?
Yeah, I had you muted. Now I unmuted you.
Well, we were both doing that. Hi, I'm Leanne Emmons. I work for Butler County Board of DD. I'm the Community Resource Coordinator. And I work with providers mostly, but also with teams on doing meaningful day development for folks here in Butler County.
Not hearing from Lynn. Lynn, are you on? Can you? Yeah, there you go. Okay, well, move on. It might be easier to just go ahead and I'll introduce you off the attendance list, and those folks that we don't, I don't have names for, we'll try to get you in. So I know Chrissy Perkins from Easter Seals Tri-State is on. Deidre Olney from Life Starters up in Delaware County is on. Michelle Garrett from Montgomery County DD is on. Karen Sharp is on. Not sure, Karen, if you can let me know via chat or with your voice where you're from. I'm not sure.
I am from Production Services Unlimited in Warren County. We're
now I remember. Thank you, Karen. Sorry about that.
Recently privatized from the Warren County Board of Developmental Disabilities.
Thank you very much for and Kathy Scott. I'm not sure where you're from, Kath. If you want to chime in. If not, that's okay, and we'll move on. And just chat me up, put something in the chat box if you want to introduce yourself. Marion Cosgrove Roush is from Visionaries and Voices, I know. Do you want to introduce yourself, Marion?
Hi, my name is Marion Cosgrove Rauch. I'm the Education Director at Visionaries and Voices, which is an art studio for adults with disabilities in Cincinnati.
Thank you, Marion. Mark Schlater is from Toward Independence. Mark, are you on? Looks like he is, but got Marty Adams too. Matt Briner from Hamilton County DDS. Matt Bernheimer, are you on? I just found out, now I remember, Kathy Scott's from RT Industries. Lynn, I'm sorry, Lynn's doing the chat box. She tried to chime in. She's from Butler County as well. Sorry about that, Lynn. I know Scott Jones is from Clark County DD. Scott, are you on? Okay. Tammy Peel from Creative Connections is on. We have about 22 people now. This could go on forever, so hopefully I got everybody in that got in, and I'll look at the chat box as we go. Kathy Scott, and I got you. And
I don't know if people who are called in. I don't know if people who are called in are showing up, but this is Larissa Ingabo from Toward Independence as well.
Okay, great, thank you. Looks like we have a really good mix, and I'll also in the minutes have access to the Excel spreadsheet on GoTo, so I'll put everybody's name and affiliation in the minutes too, so we'll know. But and again, and there's Scott Jones coming up on chat box. He's with DDCC Community Connections and Employment Department at Clark County, I think. Yeah. So and thanks, Tammy. Good morning to you too. So we'll get started with the slides. And I know Britta is on. Britta Huff is my colleague. She's the project manager in the Northeast region. So why we're here today is to get together to talk about a bunch of stuff, but primarily focusing in on the summit that many of you attended, and also the transformations at a glance that many of you hosted and went to. We're also going to just go kind of also talk about transformation from facility to community based in general, and then end on some some next steps we might take as we build a community of practice. And it looks like the best strategy on this stuff, unless you want to voice your opinion anytime you want to, you can chime in and just do it. But also questions, comments, I can monitor the chat box pretty well and kind of get you in that way too. So however it works the best. It sounds like we're doing okay sound-wise. Hopefully everybody can hear and there's not a lot of weird chaotic noise in the background. So we'll go forward this way and using the chat box, and then also if you want to, please chime in any way you can through just using your voice on the microphone. So why are we here together? I went through that. We kind of got who's here. Sorry if I missed anybody, but again, I'll put that into the minutes too, so everybody will be able to know each other. Now I'm having trouble with this. There we go. So what I wanted to do first is get kind of a lay of the land. I know that we also have a lot of other groups in the region that supports each other's endeavors. So maybe start, if you want to, through chat box or through voice on the microphone. Tell us, are there any other provider groups that are working in the region? I know in Hamilton County there are a couple. So I mean, if somebody from Hamilton County wants to tell us about their work with providers and the groups they're already formed, that would be great. And I know Butler County too, Leanne and Lynn, you guys have provider groups. I know Lynn does a job development confab too. So whoever wants to start, please start. I'm not seeing anything in the chat box. Is that you, Lynn? I think people are having trouble with their microphone. Anybody want to start about the providers are already going in your region, in your area? Looking in the chat box too. Nothing yet. Anybody want to start? Here we go. Lynn's up on chat. Thank you guys for the chat box. I'll just announce it through the chat box. Lynn has a job development confab she chairs. Actually, there's one tomorrow at Ohio Means Jobs in Fairfield at 9 a.m. So I know of that one I've been to, and it's basically job developers and managers from a variety of providers in the region that get together to talk about different training needs and also job leads and how they can work together to kind of help people, help job developers and individuals get work together better. So I know Eric from Hamilton County has ongoing all access and multiple provider groups. We do everything from one-on-one provider consultations to large forums and special groups. I've been a part of that one too. Those are great, Eric. Thanks for chiming in. Anybody else that is a part of any other group already established in your region, or from county boards perspective, any county boards that share meetings? Thanks, Lynn. Lynn said that the job development complex she does is through Butler, Hamilton, Warren, Claremont counties, and at the OMJ in Fairfield. I know a lot of county boards often have provider meetings, regular provider meetings where residential and day program employment service providers sometimes gather. So I'm going to assume in your county boards, oftentimes you have those kind of meetings too. I guess I wanted to, and please chime in via chat box or if you can through voice. Kind of what I wanted to do is differentiate what we might do from that, what's already ongoing, so that we can have a really good focus in on what we want to accomplish possibly with a community of practice. So I don't want to duplicate the work of oftentimes the county board meetings that are with providers, and they're often about county boards kind of explaining rules, kind of asking, what's going on with services, how's the relationship with the SSA, et cetera. Are you thinking about opening up a new service or support, and that kind of information. So I guess what we might want to think about as we move forward, and please let me know in chat if you have any ideas on this, is how not to duplicate that work, but kind of use this group in a way that'll kind of really focus in on moving from facility to community-based. So the purpose, right, which is kind of what I'm getting at, is why be a part? What's in it for us? How do we want to run it? And I just got something in from chat. Thank you, Mark from Toward Independence. Mark says, we do a Southwest Partnership Network meeting, have met twice. We are still working on ongoing agenda items and topics that are an interest to everyone involved, also working to get a good balance between providers and county boards. Held last 2 meetings in Clinton County. Thank you, Mark. And again, that's kind of what I wanted to get the lay of the land in. And if you can't get it in today in the chat box, and we can do it on Loop too. If you want to do like a profile of the groups you're in, we can kind of start a conversation on Loop about that, which I'm going to get into in a sec. Thank you, Mark. So why be a part of this? And think in your heads, I guess, and then please, again, use chat if you want to, use the chat box if you want to, or voice in. Like, I guess the purpose of a community of practice around day program and employment and other kinds of those kinds of services is to kind of help each other kind of understand everything about service delivery and also how to build capacity with each other and kind of learn from the greatness that's going on and the innovation, and also kind of get together around frustration so that we can maybe together kind of ask the kind of questions and get the kind of responses we need to work through confusion. So I think we had another, yes, Melissa says, Melissa has a question, and I'll get that out there. Mark, how is this communicated to all providers in our region? I would like to get on that network meeting. That's Melissa Morelli and just asking about that. So you guys can go offline if you want to, and then chat, or you can even in the chat box answer that question, Mark, if you want to check that out. So what's the vision for Southwest Ohio around supporting people with developmental disabilities to be a part of their neighborhoods, communities, and world? So that's kind of like what I'm thinking. The purpose of this is to really build capacity around the idea of day program, employment, and those other kinds of services that we have to kind of help providers and county boards kind of build capacity around really doing great work. So also, I just got from Marty. Marty would also like to know about your group. So going off on that tangent of the purpose of a community of practice, I wanted to just kind of globally look at how this provider transformation happened. And this is kind of like a little backstory to that. You probably already know this, but I thought I'd put it in the slides, and we'll go through this real quick. And if you have anything you want to add, again, chime in through chat. So in Ohio, we know that we've had all kinds of forces that have come together to build a momentum toward community-based services, especially around day, pre-employment, and employment supports. We all know about the CMS settings rule, which is now kind of getting constituted through reviews through OPSR. We also know about conflict-free case management. I know from PSU, was it Karen, Kathy? Sorry, Karen or Kathy. You guys are just privatized from Warren County. There's others that are going through that same process. I was just out at RTI in Miami County, and we had a discussion about that. And then, of course, we all know about Employment First, the path to employment, all those forces kind of driving us forward toward ensuring that the supports we have aren't totally facility-based. And also the services and the supports within facilities, how do they help move people forward? So how does provider transformation happen? Again, through these priorities that this is through the white paper that was published a few years ago, given a timeline of the Ohio, the DODD priorities and vision around this kind of provider transformation. And the priorities for the state are, of course, person-centered planning, which we always kind of foreground. Again, through Employment First and other means, employment. And then the third priority, as we all know, is community, ensuring that the services, supports we offer or authorize and deliver kind of focus in on helping somebody, supporting somebody to be a part of their community. This is all stuff you already know, I know, so I'm going to go through quick. Again, this is off of the vision paper, the adult white paper that I can send to you too. And I think I might have already put it up on the live binders, but we'll go into that in a second. So our vision is working adults working, and to achieve this, there's an array of services that help support that process. And then there are also, we recognize there are times people don't or won't work. They retire, get fired, quit, have setbacks. So the services and supports that we kind of deliver and authorize and plan need to kind of pay homage to that and help folks figure out how to keep moving forward, how to keep attaining the goals they want to attain, the outcomes they want to attain. And so we try, and we're continuing to try, obviously, to align that work with these priorities. Stop me if you heard this one before. You can chat or chime in anytime you want to. I'm going to go. That's that slide. So how do we all support building innovative service models in Southwest Ohio, and also help accelerate transformation from facility mindedness to community mindedness? And we're all doing versions of this kind of process. I mean, we're all thinking about how we can deal with the tradition and history of facilities, and how do we kind of bridge that gap and move into the future with community based supports kind of in the main focus. But I think one major way, and the first step we're going to try to take today, is to connect you guys who are accomplishing already really great stuff, doing best practices, with providers who want to learn, experience how they're doing it. And I've heard from a lot of you guys out in the field that you want to make sure that you want to connect with providers that have the same amount of folks they're supporting, the same kind of billing, the same kind of process that you're going through day to day. You want to connect with those providers who are doing the best practices, so you can have an exchange of ideas. Because I think that kind of really helps with just the practical aspects of doing it, as opposed to like a large, somebody from a large facility manager or a director going to a smaller place, or vice versa, which it's also good to do that. But I think a lot of the primary need is to kind of get to know the logistics, the practicalities of some of this stuff by getting in with other providers who are doing the same kind of work, and then kind of moving forward that way. And that's something that we're going to try to prioritize, and I'll be talking about that in a second too. So there's that slide. So this is kind of the time where you can please chat with me or with us, and also, if you can, if your microphone works, unmute yourself and voice your opinion. But I wanted to get a take on how the Transformation Series and Summit this year went. I know a lot of you were there, and a lot of you hosted the site visit. So I'm going to give it up to the group now. How did the transformations at a glance go? And that's first. And then what would you change? And I'm going to give, I hate silence, as you can probably tell because I'm talking a mile a minute. So I'm going to try to shut up and see if anybody wants to talk, or if you want to chat in, I'll read what you chat in.
Hi, it's Amanda Tipkemper.
Hey.
How are you today?
I'm doing good. I hope you're doing good too.
Well, so I only made it to one visit, unfortunately. I really wanted to go to more, but it was just my schedule. It wasn't anything to do with the schedule that was provided. I really enjoyed my visit. It was really nice to see a provider and how they're doing it. There was one thing, like, it was difficult to imagine or envision how the services were actually implemented. So I don't know if there's any way to even have video or a slideshow or some sort of like kind of visual to go along with it. For those of us that are maybe communication challenged like me, so I like visuals. So, and then there was, I was really interested more in like the logistics of how you staff. And that was some questions that I had to ask. So it wasn't just like the services that they provided, but how do you create a sustainable service? Like, how do you staff it? Are you providing benefits? Are these part-time staff, full-time staff? So some of those details.
Yeah, and I think that's great. Thank you, Amanda, because I think that's kind of one of the core ideas I'm hearing from everybody is that kind of the gritty, the nitty-gritty of it, and also like that helps too, like I said before, with parallel organizations that have the same kind of amount of people they're supporting, and all that stuff kind of helps too, because when you're talking about all that stuff, you probably want to know that how it relates to your business and your organization. So thanks for that. I think we got somebody in the chat box now. Yes, we do. Kathy Scott. We would like more help with larger, recently privatized services versus smaller sites. The visits were interesting, but don't translate easily to large organizations. I hear you on that one. So that's definitely what I'm going to be well, not me, just I will too, but hopefully all of us will be. Melissa chimed in too that she agrees with you, Kathy, 100%. I think that's kind of what we can talk about today too, is how we're going to organize this community of practice to kind of get at the details and the information and the relationships you want to make happen that'll really matter to the way you do business. So thanks for that, Kathy. Anybody else want to talk about the transformations? I've got a few slides about the actual transformations at a glance that we can go through and provider-wise, but I wanted to give it up to that first. We can move on to the summit now too, if you want to, and bring that in. I've got the summit and what would you change, what you like. So please, whoever wants to, I'm going to, again, go radio silent. And that's I'm not. But I'm going radio silent now to see if anybody has anything to say about that.
Can you hear me?
All right, it's Amanda again. So our organization is kind of in multiple phases. So thankfully, I have more than one person that comes with me, and we both go into different areas. But I'm curious about all those different areas because we're kind of in all those different areas depending on the service we're providing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So maybe one of the things you might change is being able to access a more global take on all the transformation, the spectrum of it, and kind of getting in on some of the other aspects of some of the subject matter areas that weren't talked about in yours.
Yeah, maybe like at the very end, we can all come back together in some way. I don't know. I know the space is a challenge, but all come back together, and like the people that facilitated just kind of give a breakdown of like a 5-minute summary of what they talked about, next steps and things like that.
Great. Thank you, Amanda. Thanks, somebody. Yes. Britta came in, has got a chat box comment, and I'm going to it. Employment Development, Inc. in Northeast Ohio in Columbiana County focused on the early stages of assessment from recent privatization of 2 large county board day programs. So I can share their process, assessment completed, and information once received. Thank you. That would be really helpful. And then Chrissy Perkins from Easter Seals just chimed in. Her microphone isn't working. I'm sorry. I'm trying to unmute you, but it won't let me. But anyway, thanks for typing in. our program at a glance had very low attendance and not a lot of the people who had RSVP came. What kind of ways did other organizations market this and make it an appealing thing for people to attend? Thank you. That was an issue with other providers, although some providers had more than RSVP. But yeah, a lot of them had like 10 or 12 RSVPs, and then maybe 2 or 3 showed up. So if you guys have ways you marketed, please, and having good attendance, please in the chat box or voice that out. So anything else around transformations at a glance or the summit? Anything else you'd like to change? Because we're going to do it again in 2019. I think we're looking at March as the date, and we may switch venues, which might be a better, it might be a better fit for what Amanda's talking about coming back together at the end to kind of debrief. Because at the hotel we were at, it's kind of hard to do that because it's very kind of in the room. So, but anyway, anybody else want to chime in about how you'd like the transformation at a glances and the summit to go in 2019? Oh, Chrissy says she loved the summit. Great group she was in. Good discussion. I really like sharing ideas. Thanks, Chrissy. And then Marianne said we had the same problem at BNB. Marianne, would you mind typing in what you're referencing on that one so I can let people know? Because I'm kind of not getting what you're referencing. It might just be me, but you could just type that in what you're referencing so I can get that out. So I'm going to move on to the next slide, and we can still cover anything you want to do about, transformation 2019, the summit, the series. Please chime in. But I'm going to go on to the next slide now, I think, which is this slide, which is the same thing anyway. So I wanted to go through the whole purpose of those transformations at a glance, but I think you guys know. Oh, Marianne, thank you. Yeah, lack of attendance and people who had RSVP didn't turn up at the program. Yeah, I know. I was there at that one, and that was a great one. You guys did a great job, and I was really kind of disappointed that, it's like maybe 3 or 4 folks that showed up. So yeah, anybody that has any ideas around marketing, maybe we could just make that a part of this group too, is how are we going to market these regionally now? Now that we have a group, a community of practice, maybe it'll be a better sell that way to each other and to the rest of the state and the region. So maybe that was what was needed, is this kind of a group to do that too. So, but thanks, Marion. So you guys kind of knew the whole purpose was a 2-phaser, right? This was like the transformation series. What happened is a lot of people went to the transformations but didn't go to the summit, and a lot of people went to the summit but didn't go to the transformations at a glance. And they kind of go together because they coming with your experiences to the summit might have made it easier to make those connections that Amanda was talking about logistics and stuff. Although we need to go deeper on that. But so again, I just wanted to put that out that it was around assessment, planning, implementation, evaluation, innovation, and that the glances were about trying to kind of get prepared to go to the summit in a way that was real world. So Tammy just chimed in and said that, let me see, we sent a personal invite to all of our guardians and family members of individuals we support. I think you guys had a pretty good turnout too, Tammy, so thanks. So we all know what assessment is. I put up the definition. These are the what was on the online about why each of you were the providers that were at the hosting the visits around assessment, which is you have a good insightful process to figure out current needs, interests, and skills, and then planning, which is I think probably the most popular subject matter area, at least at the summit, was around you guys have provider organizations have a streamlined, effective strategic planning process. And then we chose provider agencies around how they're implementing what they've planned and assessed. And then evaluation, I think that's a tricky one because I think evaluation is kind of like the last thing you think about as you move forward, but it's also one of the most important because you're going to try to figure out how your assessment, your plan, and your implementation, how that's all working together. And you're going to have to, find the information that's kind of giving you the data you need to see if you're doing good or not. And evaluation, I think, is something we need to work on figuring out with folks. And then, service innovation. You've done all that work, and now you kind of put it into the world, and you're practicing it, and you're innovating. So those are the subject matter areas. I don't know if anybody went to the Adult Connections transformation at a glance. Hopefully I'm staying on time. Good. I just want to make sure we don't go too long. That was a good one. Pretty well attended. It was in Waynesville and Franklin. They have two programs that are functioning one's out of a nursing home, one's housed within a church, I think, if I remember correctly. And a lot of people came to that one, and because they're kind of doing a lot of work around, Chris, you went to it. Yeah, I see your, thanks, Chris. So that was a pretty, and I think they went through a lot of the information that was kind of nitty gritty, but it probably could have gone deeper too. But good attendance there, and a really good program trying to help transitioning students as well as also adults with figuring out the day program, employment services spectrum, and using a lot of different kinds of supports. Yeah, you are in the photo, Chrissy. You're right in there. So that was a pretty good one with good attendance. And then Starfire had a pretty good showing. And basically, Tim and his folks went through kind of the struggles they were having as they kind of moved literally from facility to community. What are they trying to do with the building that they don't really use it as much or at all really anymore because they've gone completely kind of community based. So, and then that's Betsy Adam, Mullet Connection, the executive director there, and that was a maybe 5-6 folks turned out, and again maybe 10 or 12 had RSVP'd, but really good presentation. Is there a day program kind of structure that's figuring out the interest and the like, discovering these in each person that attends there and how they can use new services and the spectrum of services to kind of move forward, and they're kind of dipping their toe in all kinds of different ways to provide supports. At Ohio Valley Goodwill, I don't know if anybody's on from Ohio Valley Goodwill, Amy or Chelsea, but if not, that's okay. I'll guilt them later. But that's Chelsea and Amy on the left, and I think that's Ann Tapia from the Southwest Autism Task Force. Anyway, they did a really good one about career discovery. They have a pretty solid career discovery through the waiver program, and they did a kind of Pictionary game around the best ways to deliver the service. Talked about the profile, talked about how the best practice on how to actually do career discovery and all its uses. So quite a few people showed up to that one. And then this is Tammy's Creative Connections, which had a pretty good turnout as well. So anybody else about the transformations at a glance? I think we covered that one. Again, put something in the chat box if you have anything else you want to say, or come on online. Hey, yeah, go ahead.
I'm just curious what the breakdown was of nonprofits versus for-profits in those site visits.
Dude, that's a good one. I'll look that up because I don't know offhand, but that might be another version of linking up like-minded with like-minded, or what I mean? So is that what you're getting at?
Right. I think we were heavy on the nonprofit side, and I think maybe if we think about repackaging this, rebranding this a little bit for the smaller for-profits that are running day programs. Just to be really honest, I think there's a lot of programs out there that don't even know what the term transformation means, and they're not even thinking about it yet because they haven't been hit yet with it on a review.
Yeah.
Unless we in the county boards are coming in and using that term. So maybe just rebranding the way that we frame it for those folks, like business development for them. Because the future of their business might depend on changing the way that they do business. So just an idea.
Great.
Thanks.
That's fantastic. I would have never thought of that. So that's why we need a community practice land, because I would have never even considered that. But that's a very important aspect to it too, because nonprofits have to have a lot of other kind of concerns around, just board structure and, development and fundraising and stuff. And the for-profits don't have that aspect to them. So, yeah, that's really good. So I've got that in the notes, and definitely will kind of put that in the mix. And then Melissa, thanks for chiming in. She said Goodwill Columbus is not in our region. However, Active Day went up there, and it was a very beneficial for large-based programs. And you know what? Thank you, Melissa, because I've got their strategic plan on the live binders transformation thing I set up. They have a really good structure. Yeah, you're right. Thank you. Okay, and Eric Metzger just came in, and I'm making sure I'm getting everybody. Yep. Okay, cool. And Eric says, I recommend all nonprofits consider Google Grants, easy to get compared to other types. Thank you, and you got a link in the chat box. Perfect. I can skip over this because I think we all know the Transformation Summit by now, but basically it was a bunch of really good subject matter experts kind of got together and helped providers of all kinds of sizes and for-profit, nonprofit, et cetera, kind of work together toward developing around 5 key subject matter areas. I think what the intention was globally is to start this kind of process we're doing now, which is kind of talk regionally after we kind of got together with the state to kind of see what direction we want to take it. And so as we evolve with these larger summits, we might be able to have more of a regional kind of interest in attending, and maybe that's the way of the future. And also, Britta's on, like I said, on the call too, and we're thinking about how, and then Melissa just mentioned that maybe we also want to connect with providers that aren't in the region, like-minded, same size, for-profit, nonprofit, maybe that are not here in Southwest Ohio, but up in Northeast or other areas, to kind of get a take on them too. So that could be something that we're thinking about in this group too, is how we can connect with Britta's group and the providers she supports and the other project managers to learn, statewide more stuff. These were the, and please chime in or, do a chat if you have any comment on that one. But then we have the subject matter experts here, which we all kind of know if you went to the summit and which group you were in, et cetera. I just wanted to put that in. There's Tim, who did a session, Steve Cady from Bowling Green University, who did a pretty solid session around change, Sue Beck around planning, and that was Chris Simon. He was a pretty good graphic facilitator in Steve's group, and they really had a take on, it wasn't really focused in disability services world, but around just change and transformation in general, and how to communicate that to if you're a manager or other person in the organization. How do you kind of voice that and help people along around any kind of change that an organization has. I heard a lot of good things about Steve's group too. Wanted to get to Loop, Ohio, because wanted to see. I set up a community of practice conversation started when I've done about 3. Nobody's kind of chimed in, but that's okay. I'm not hurt. I swear. It's another thing you have to do, I know, but I thought we might be able to use Loop around some of the things we're kind of voicing now, like same-size organizations, for-profit, nonprofit, and get conversations going around some of these issues. And I'll start a couple of them, and please pay attention if you can to that. Also, if you're not on the Loop conversation, all you have to do is do an account on Loop, and I can pull you in, and I'll do checks on that regularly to see folks that are showing up to the community of practice meetings, et cetera, are also in the conversation. So please chime in with any ideas or questions around Loop. Okay, moving on. So this is the way that I'm selling it. Yeah, it kind of is selling it. Communicating it to providers that I'm trying to help as they go through the settings issues. Hello? I had a call come in, I think. I think I'm still on good. Let me know if you can't hear me. Anyway, this is what I'm kind of using in my slides and messaging out to providers, county boards. And it basically is just echoing the subject matters areas that we used in the summit and at the transformations at a glance, is the assess your programs, then create a plan based on that assessment, then implement based on the plan, then continually evaluate, and then innovation kind of happens through that process as you focus in on some key areas, which I'll get to. Here, the 7 main goals, which is kind of connected to, I don't know if any of you have seen this or if I've taught you about this. This is something we've come up with called the Agency Self-Assessment Tool around community investment in individuals with disabilities. It's a pretty thorough way to look at your organization around 7 key areas around community investment. And I'm going to go through that real quick. So this self-assessment is kind of like a tool you can use to kind of ground yourself, assess your organization around these 7 areas: leadership, goals and operating policies, financing, contracting methods, training and technical assistance, service innovation, collaboration and partnership, and then measurement, data and performance measurement. And each one I go through leadership at all levels. If you don't have this as your core, whether you're a for-profit, nonprofit, whether you have a board or not, et cetera, if you don't have leadership kind of focused in on integrated supports, community life engagement, and employment as one of your key reasons to exist, you're not going to make any of this transformation happen. So the self-assessment kind of walks you through looking at leadership and what's your mission, vision, what's your your goals organizationally, and kind of helps help you figure that out. Then developing the goals and the operating policies, making sure that competitive, integrative employment and community life engagements are identified as the preferred outcomes in policy. Then financing and contracting methods, the outcomes of CIE and community life engagements are emphasized and supported through financing and contracting methods. That would mean the support you deliver and how you bill it and all that kind of stuff. That walks you through that. Then the training and technical assistance you're receiving has a focus in on, again, CIE and community life engagement. The collaborations and partnerships you're making with families, businesses, other providers, county boards, other agencies, the reason you're partnering and collaborating is to increase the opportunities toward community life engagement. And then the innovation of services and supports, service definitions and support strategies provide, focus on integrated employment and community life supports, community life engagement supports. And then you're measuring and data processes kind of focus in on, again, what I said. So that is all I wanted to get out on that one. But again, on the live binders that I've created, there's a whole section there about this tool. You can also kind of download it and look at it when you want to at your leisure. So at your leisure, like you have any leisure. But it really is helpful, and I think it's helped quite a few of the organizations I've been working with. It's a beginning. It's a way to start the conversation, both with me and other folks from DODD, but also with the direct care professionals, with your board if you have them, with families. It kind of is a way to kind of really hone in on what it takes to make transformation happen. So, any questions around that? I'm going to shut up again and see if anybody has anything to say or type into chat. Silence. Good. Okay. Not good, but if you have anything to say, again, please type it in or voice it out. So I know I just mentioned that Goodwill did a transformation at a glance around career discovery. What I found, I went to a meeting in Hamilton County a couple weeks ago with a lot of providers, and it was great. It was a huge meeting, and it was a fantastic meeting. And Eric Metzger and Jen Becknell and lots of folks, Karen Sherman and Don Freudenberg, they did a great job facilitating it. But one of the takeaways for me was that they were saying they needed a little bit more, maybe a lot more help around what career discovery is, around just practicing it, doing it. Great examples. What did the profiles look like? How is it used in planning? Just everything that you might want to know about discovery prior to doing the service. So I wanted to make sure I invited anybody that would like to be a part of this kind of conversation. Hamilton County providers were interested in some kind of training around that, and I've already talked to Lynn there at Butler County, and I think that's who I started with. I haven't talked to anybody else. But if you're interested in either talking about how you do career discovery or interested in knowing more about it, please send me an email, and we can work together to kind of fashion or create a really good training. I'm thinking it would be live, like in person, but it also might be either, it might be a webinar or it might be both. So, but I think as we're pushing forward, career discovery is kind of turning into a kind of like the assessment for transformation from facility to community I just went through. career discovery is that baseline, that profile that you need to kind of know all this stuff about a person before you even kind of enter into figuring out what services they might benefit from. So I wanted to get that in there. Anybody have anything you want to say about career discovery? I'll go radio silent again. All right, I'm moving forward. So I wanted to throw this in and at you as a group. This is what I think I'm hearing, and chime in, please, if you have a different take on it. But we need to maybe use a community of practice group regionally around developing best practices and procedures for supporting individuals with complex, significant needs in the community. And so, again, it's the same process of is it being done well by providers currently, and who are those folks, and how do we get to know them? Or is it something that we're all stumped by and we need more help with, and we need to maybe have some kind of formal plan regionally to talk about that kind of support and that kind of technical assistance? So that would be another reason, I think, to have this group, is around people with significant complex needs and day programs. And I just thank you, Melissa. Thank you. Keith, this is a huge need. When our agency did our visits, the providers were only supporting folks with acuity levels of A and a few Bs. Huge need. And thank you, Leanne. I absolutely want to be a part of this discussion or help work on some pilots. I have a few ideas. We can begin the conversation at our compound meeting tomorrow to get this started in our region. Thank you, Lynn. That's all great stuff. So obviously that's a good hot topic to kind of maybe begin our relationship with, is around this need, because that's basically, like Melissa and Lynn and Leanne are kind of saying, really is a priority, because the settings rule, all the rules kind of come at you in a big kind of abstract way, but if you try to practice it with folks who are have different needs, have different abilities, have different wants, you're going to need help around kind of figuring out, like we're talking about, those needs and how we can meet them. So thank you. That's kind of probably going to be the first agenda item on the next meeting. So I will pull in definitely Melissa, Lynn, and Leanne, and anybody else that's interested, please email me, and we'll start. Maybe that'll be the whole topic for a whole session, either face-to-face, live, or I'll pull together another go-to. But I think, yeah, thanks you guys for saying that. So we're winding down. It's oh gosh, we got half an hour yet, but if we get out early, nobody will be mad, I'm sure. So, and I like to get out early because I don't like to take too much of your time. So, wanted to make sure you guys knew about the June 11th employment collaborative training that's happening at in Lebanon. It's going to be led by Jared Daly from Cuyahoga County, and there's all the information you need. Thank you, Mark. Mark has some. I wanted to make sure I get Mark in, and Karen. Karen Sharp just put something into. Karen, I would be interested as well. Thank you. I'll definitely pull you in. Mark from Toward Independence. I also want to add how we meet best practices supporting individuals with complex needs, develop community engagement in the face of the statewide staffing crisis. I'm in direct discussion around this, affects everything we try to do. Thank you. That this is making me feel a lot better about having this group, because that's basically, I think, what we need to focus in on is that last slide. So thanks, Mark. There's the June 11th training I want to make sure you guys knew about. This is that slide binders.
Hey, Keith.
Go ahead, sorry.
How do you RSVP to that June 11th?
June 11th. Go ahead, ask it again. I didn't hear you.
How do you RSVP, or how do you register for that event?
I will. It's on Loop, so it's another reason for you to go to Loop. Haha. And I can send you. Good. Go to Loop and go to the events, and you'll be able to get the link there.
Okay.
It's also on the Ohio.
I hope it goes without saying that you know that we want to be involved in serving individuals with complex needs. We'll be doing our transition program is expanding, and we'll be doing a lot of things that are more classroom based, but for the purpose of translating into the work environment. So would love to be involved in that.
Thank you, Amanda. I appreciate it. And you also can go to the Ohio Employment First page too, in the events. It's on there for the June 11th thing. And
Awesome.
the live bind. Go ahead. Oh no, yeah, sure. Your live binders page. I don't know if you guys have gone there yet, or there's the link, and I'll send out the slide. The slides will be up on live binders, but you know what? You can't go to live binders. You don't have the link. So anyway, in the minutes, I'll have the link too, but I'll also have the PowerPoint included in all the information. But I've set up a live binders page that has everything we talked about today on it, and then we can add to it. I'll put the minutes up on it and the agenda items, and we'll kind of use that as just a warehouse of storing information that we develop as we move forward. So go there when you get a chance if you want to, and all that self-assessment I showed you is up there, all kinds of stuff like that. So that's all I got. It's about 11 o'clock almost. Do you guys have anything else that you want to add? I tried to be as thorough but also as fast-paced as humanly possible. So sometimes that can mean that I leave things out. But please, I'm going to leave it up to you guys for the last couple of minutes. Do you have anything you want to add? Then maybe we can think about a next meeting, which I'll convene maybe in June, and I'll send out a date for that. But please, chat box, or voice anything else you want to say. And I'm going to silent again.
Hey Keith, it's Tim Vogt. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. I just have like some ideas. One is this is Southwest Ohio, right? So kind of like our little 4 or 5 counties down here.
Yeah, I'm including as many as I can. Like I've got about 22 that I work with, so it's more like 2022. But yeah, okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was just kind of like thinking, I appreciate webinars and calls and all that, but what might be valuable, would be interesting, and I'd be interested to host it, is just a set time where we come together and just almost have our own little transformation summit on a regular basis. It could be monthly. I'm happy to host it here at Starfire. I'm interested more in it being about the way we think and about strategies for innovation. For example, when I think of people with complex needs, I think of design thinking as a tool that we could learn together as a way to infuse design practices rather than just specifically talking about complex disability, you know? I think that'd be a great thing to learn, but it would take time. The things that we need are like, you don't just learn it once and do it. You learn it and then you reflect and you come back and say, well, that didn't work. And again, it's nice to hear your voice and everybody's voice, but it'd be even better if we could set something that's live and is, you know, in person.
I agree totally, and I think my voice gets on my own nerve. So yeah, so for sure. And I think you can do multiple things in that kind of construct you're talking about, where you're kind of just talking about a lot of things not at the same time, but in the same room. So it kind of yields itself to kind of expanding the ideas. So maybe that could be, if you wouldn't mind, maybe if you want to send me some dates, maybe we could have our next gathering at Starfire and around this idea around people with complex needs.
That'd be cool. And we could even just set up, we could just set up a regular every other month or every quarterly, just put it on the calendar now and invite everybody in to show up, you know, and we'll just make it a thing. So.
Perfect.
All right. I'll send that to you. Thanks.
I totally appreciate you. Thank you. And I'm looking around. Anything else? Mark Slaughter, I do believe we need to work at consolidating and developing one coordinated meeting throughout Southwest Ohio. Also need to develop and define the region. Agree with current person talking. There are many providers and counties throughout the region. Totally agree. Maybe that's something we can do face-to-face, as Tim's saying, too. Chrissy likes your idea as well, Tim. Leanne is on board with Tim. Thank you, Tim. You saved the day. So that'll be our next move.
Yeah.
So
We'll make it about food and drinks and all that stuff, and it'll be a blast.
fantastic.
Hey, Keith, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hey, I think this is probably a good opportunity for me to jump in and introduce myself. So I'm Matt Bevlinka. I also work for DODD. I thought Keith was going to introduce me at the start of this, but I'm kind of sitting quietly here. But most of my work revolves around people with complex needs and supporting those people, usually in residential settings. But obviously, people with complex needs, those needs don't go away when they're at work. So I'd love to be involved with, if we're going to be meeting quarterly or however that's going to work out, I'd love to be there too.
I didn't even see you on the list, Matt, or I would have done that. I totally spaced. So for some reason, your name didn't. But yeah, but thank you so much because, yeah, I wanted you to be here. I even made sure I invited you face to face. So Matt's a great resource that we can all kind of benefit from too. So thank you for kind of chiming in, and definitely you'll be a part of what we're trying to figure out.
Awesome.
Melissa also likes your idea, Tim. That's a good note to end on. I want to make sure, though, before we skedaddle, anything else you guys want to add? We got a half an hour early, so I'm going to stay on. No, I'm not. But I'll send out the notes from today's meeting. Also, I recorded it, so if you want to hear my beautiful voice again, you're welcome to. But I thought just in case people wanted to come but they couldn't come, it'll be recorded up on loop. And we'll just start the conversation. I think we had a good start to the conversation now. So next up, we'll maybe meet with them at Tim's place and kind of start from there too. Thank you, guys. I want to make sure everybody had their chance. I'm looking. Okay, cool. I think we're good to go. Have a great rest of your weekend. Yeah, you're welcome anytime. And I'll see you guys soon. Yeah, you're welcome.